splat. Stop letting this shit slide and get your lick back. And get your lick back. I feel like I'm JX.
J-Way.
I'm a perfectionist. Adderall got me restless.
I'm gone.
Run with a wild crew, they get reckless. Young boy, come up off that neck.
Give me that.
To the trends. CLE be the band.
Good morning and welcome to another episode of Corner to Copa. I'm here with my co-host, Coach. We are back in the building for another recap of the week. Coach, how you feeling?
You know, the temperatures are getting a little cooler here in Michigan now as September rolls around, but the Tigers stay very warm. In fact, they're looking for a homestand sweep, believe it or not. My, oh my, how things change in just a few weeks.
Yeah. There's not too much negative to say about this week. We had a couple tough teams, couple of teams that have been playing pretty well down the stretch, and so far the Tigers have handled business. We are now 78-53. We're 11.5 games up on Kansas City. Yes, Kansas City has passed Cleveland finally. We are up 12.5 on Cleveland right now, and we are 9-1 in our last 10 games. The lone loss being last Sunday to Minnesota in an ugly game, but the Tigers have cleaned things up. I think on Monday they beat the Astros by a score of 10-0. A lot of home runs, and I think we held Houston scoreless for about 20 plus innings. So the pitching has done their fair share. The defense has been strong as well, and we've had a few offensive outbursts. What did you see this week, Coach?
Yeah, you know, like you said, the first game against Houston was a barrage, I think, of 4 home runs in that shutout, shut them out in a low-scoring game 2. And then in Houston, actually, I think had been shut out that Sunday game prior to as well. At one point, they were shut out for almost 30-some straight innings before that, a 2-run homer late in the matinee game that didn't really mean anything. They're already down like 5 runs or whatever in the 8th or 9th. So pitching was better. We'll get into some other specifics regarding some outings and appearances a little bit later on. But like you said, it's kind of been a mix and match. So it's been good. I mean, it's still a roller coaster. Don't get us wrong. I feel like, sure, it's this right now is a good feeling, but every big playoff series the rest of the way is kind of the measuring stick as we get into the playoffs here. But so far, so good. Nothing of major concern. Just run-of-the-mill baseball as we enter September.
Yes. Jack Flaherty, I think he pitched in the 10-0 game on Monday, but he's been pretty good as of late. He's kind of showed us the Jack Flaherty that we saw last year that we ended up trading away for for a pretty decent return. But things have come full circle, and now he can be a part of that run that we're looking to have. Trey Sweeney, one of the guys that we traded for Jack Flaherty, has been really good this since he's come back up in place of Matt Vierling, but I think he's hitting over 300. Andy Ibanez, pictured in the graphic, is, as some would say, is having another one of his Jeremy Lin runs. He hit 455 this week, and he's hit 368 in the last 30 days, which we can pretty much say has been since he's returned to Detroit after spending some time in Toledo. Zach McKinstry, I think he was a double short of the cycle on Friday on Central Michigan night. So there was some added incentive with some friendly faces in the crowd. But he's actually hit a mark that only Curtis Granderson has hit since I think 2007. He's now has 10 triples, 11 home runs, and 19 stolen bases. The mark that Granderson hit was unbelievable. And I got to double check and see, but it says that he had 23 triples that year, which is insane.
Bro, He had a 20-20-20 year that year. He's one of the last guys I feel like to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, which is wild because you don't really see. I mean, and granted, Comerica was probably way bigger back then because the wall's probably been moved in a couple of times since then. But 23 triples, that is exciting baseball right there. But yeah, McKinstry is having an amazing year. He's kind of been quiet-ish as of late, but yeah, he's got a couple triples just this week. So outside of that, Kyle Finnegan. Finnegan has still yet to give up a single earned run thus far. So that's just a prelude to a segment we have later on. But yeah, all in all, I think we would have been happy just winning two series at home against a Houston team that's kind of, in the mix of a top AL team. And then obviously the Royals have been super hot since the trade deadline. They've made a couple. I wouldn't have expected, Yastrzemski to be one of the top, trade deadline moves. But they've been really good, and but the Tigers have had some come from behind wins. Riley Green hit a big 2-run home run, lefty matchup to push us ahead on Friday, and yeah, we're looking for the sweep today against the Royals to kind of. I feel like we've kind of asserted ourselves in commanding the AL Central. We've kind of flirted around with Cleveland for a little bit, but what do you feel the impact is of having a strong week like this against Houston and Kansas City?
I mean, they had struggled kind of to a degree with teams with a winning record this year. I think we highlighted that a week or two ago, just to kind of keep an eye on some of these series, as like we've mentioned here, it's measuring stick time. I know we've said it a few times already, but this is what you're looking at for ahead of the playoffs. How you stack up against some of these guys. Of course, there might be some exceptions. Some key players might be out or missing. However, it's relatively still a good opportunity to evaluate. Will we see Framber Valdez throw multiple wild pitches in the same inning again in the playoffs and give up runs? Maybe not. Historically, he's actually been pretty good in the playoffs. But, you take advantage of it where you can. And at that point, they're probably like, all right, let's just get the hell out of here. Things are going sideways. Their bullpen was taking a hit, too, heading into that series, just like Kansas City's was prior to ours now currently. So it's good. You still look at it on paper thinking, man, this team back again atop the AL standings, recapturing the number one spot by a game now over Toronto, who we do not own the tiebreaker on. So a little more imperative in terms of seeding. We maintain that +1 game lead throughout the rest of the way, but it's good momentum building. They're going to the West Coast here for a week. They're getting out of, Comerica Park and hitting the road. So I feel like these guys will have some good momentum and confidence going out west and playing a little more loosely like they usually have the last really 2 years. So for the most part, we're feeling cautiously optimistic, but still want to win series.
Absolutely. And let's get to the first break, and then we're going to talk rosters at the other end of that. All right, Coach, what we got going on?
All right, not too much, just some mixing and matching, and also some injury-related news, actually more a little juicy on the injury-related updates, but we'll go in order here. On the 17th, Herder was demoted for Hannafy. Again, just that bullpen mixing and matching for Hinch so he can have use of pretty much any arm at any given game. Alex Lang, the 18th, was activated, and they demoted Bailey Horn. Alex Lang did make his debut in that blowout game, and it was not very impressive. multiple walks with the 10-run lead and eventually be, I think he got pulled. I don't even think he finished that outing. I could be wrong, but was then subsequently demoted back down to Toledo. So some things to work on for Alex, but the turtleneck is back. And I think that's what a lot of people were more little hyped, I think, to see, but he's healthy. So I guess we'll take it for now. But the 20th, Urquidy was sent to Toledo for rehab start. And I think there's an important note between him and Alex Cobb that the club made, kind of a low-key, under-the-radar posting that him and Alex Cobb will be used out of the bullpen only once they are healthy and active, to be determined for both guys. So keep that in the back of your head for playoff roster announcements, because I don't know how that's going to weirdly play into that. So a lot of speculation will be around that for sure. Ty Madden shut down for the rest of the year. He will not be pitching the rest of the year due to his recovery. I think they're hoping to try and have him ready for spring training next year. And on the 22nd, Ryan Kreider was officially DFA'd as they purchased a contract of Drew Sommers, the left-handed reliever who did pitch Friday. Rather uneventful when he came back out for the second go-around. Lots left to be desired, but they're kind of running out of left-handed options down there. So that's kind of where they're at right now. And kind of tease into your spot there. They signed a minor leaguer, Kevin Newman, 32 years old, just yesterday. Was released by the Angels on the 2nd and was assigned to Toledo. But that's it in terms of injuries and roster updates.
All right, let's get right into the minor league report. A lot to talk about, a lot of offense and down on the farm. Patrick Strong, who is now a member of the West Michigan Whitecaps, hit his first home run as a low single A player down in West Michigan on Tuesday. McGonigal continues to mash. He hit a home run and a double on Tuesday. Eduardo Valencia, who, just to give people a reminder, was promoted to AAA this in the second half of the year, is still having a really good year. He had 7 RBI. He accounted for every run batted in on Wednesday. He hit 2 home runs. And on the year, he currently has a 303 average. A 303 average with 17 home runs and 65 RBIs. He is a first baseman / catcher. He's another individual trying to make a bid for that additional call up. I don't know how that's, I think numbers wise, there's no real room for him. So unless, they make a move and demote Jake Rogers, but I don't anticipate that happening. But we'll see where he goes next year because he's already in AAA dominating. So Isaac Pacheco hit a home run and an RBI double on Thursday. And if you need somebody to pay attention to down in Lakeland with Bryce Rainier and Bryce Rainier out for the year and Patrick Strong being promoted to West Michigan, Ricardo Hurtado, he's a 22-year-old catcher, is having a fine year. He had 2 home runs on Thursday. His numbers on the year are he's got a 265 average, 9 home runs, and 60 RBIs. Max Clark missed a couple of games. He had a little bit of a scare. I think he had a hand injury, but he returned on Friday. He hit a 2-run home run. And Toledo as a whole has had a couple games this week where they have produced double digits. And just on, was that yesterday? I think it was on Saturday. They scored 14 runs. And Akil Baddoo and Jace Young, I'll say Baddoo, Young, and Valencia were probably had the most offensive production. Baddoo had 2 home runs yesterday, but he's had a number of other home runs throughout the week. And Jace Young as well has come on and had a much stronger second half than his first. But that pretty much wraps up everything down on the farm. Let's see what else we got going on. Anything going on around the league?
Yeah, so some sporadic news here. The Astros signed a longtime journeyman Craig Kimbrell, who has been, I swear, he's played on 5 teams in the last 2 years. It's kind of the way it's been for long tenured relievers, especially closers right now in the league. Walker Buehler with the Red Sox lost his spot in rotation due to continued struggles. He's moved to the bullpen as they overtake the Yankees for an AL wildcard spot. Currently, the Braves announced that Austin Riley was having core surgery and is done for the rest of the year. Suffered earlier in the month. They're not really playing for anything anyways, even though Chris Sale, I think, would be eligible to return in the next week or two off his 60-day IL. I really don't see any motivation for needing to push him for 1 or 2 starts potentially down the stretch. Padres have retaken the NL West. I know we mentioned them last week too, but they're playing the Dodgers this weekend, and they have a chance to go up 2 heading into the new week, which would be a bit of a shock if that held for the rest of the year, considering the Dodgers' offensive prowess and the return to the mound of Shohei Ohtani. However, the Dodgers continue to take on water, surprisingly, with that big budget that they're spending on. That's it in terms of around the league. You mentioned about Kansas City kind of jumping Cleveland. Milwaukee's dealing with some injuries along with the Mets, although the Mets are enjoying playing the Braves right now and just beating the crap out of them. So the playoff picture isn't quite taking shape. We still have a few races that will probably come down to the last week or so. But, I think the teams that are falling out are truly looking like pretenders. So will the real contender please stand up?
Yeah, I mean the Tigers have certainly done their fair share in standing up and taking command of their division. But yeah, we'll just have to see how everybody else does as we get down the stretch. We'll get to our second break, and then we'll talk trade deadline moves. Okay, so we talked in to a pretty high extent about the moves that we made at the trade deadline. Scott Harris didn't just sit on his hands. He did make some moves. Some appeared to be more impactful than others, but get to some grades as far as the guys that have played so far. Obviously, we made some moves for some guys, or at least one move that we haven't got a chance to see, what he can bring to us. But let's just kind of go down the line, and you give me a grade of how they fared so far. We'll start with I think this is the final move that we made at the buzzer. Charlie Morton. How do you feel he's fared thus far?
I feel like the jury is still out, considering he's had 3 starts now, right? If I'm not mistaken, 3
or 4, yeah.
Yeah. I'd say based on those alone, I'd say a B. I think it's a little bit above expectation, considering how really horrific starts of the year he had, and it looked like he was going to get cut too before the month of May even rolled around. So, but he got it together. It's why we got him. He had a good last 8-9 start streak where he finally got some wins, but I'm just hoping he just does not get to the point where he just blows up, 3 innings, 8 earned runs, just doesn't have it. And then it's just like, well, we need some stabilization in this rotation outside of Skubal. And Mize has largely provided that, and he's been a little off and on. Same with Flaherty, has been longer stretch off and on. So it's been pleasant. So I'll say a B.
Yeah, let's look at the last start. The one thing he has provided us is some pretty gaudy strikeout numbers. He's had 4 starts, and the Phillies being his first one that I think he took the loss in it, but he only gave up 1 earned run. But yeah, strikeouts so far 6, 10, 5, and 8. some mixed, a mixed bag of results there. Because as you can see, the biggest strikeout total was 10, but he also gave up 6 earned runs in that. But as far as since he's come into play, I think that he's been. You got Skubal and Flaherty probably being the most impactful. I think Mize. I think he gave up 8 hits this week. He's been kind of getting hit up pretty good. We talked about it off air as far as him struggling to strike guys out. But yeah, I think that Morton down the stretch, especially with the experience that he has, could be that number 3 guy at this point. Or he could work his way into that. I don't want to, Mize has still had a great year. He's well above 500. I think he's got as many wins as Skubal right now. Technically, obviously not.
Got more.
He's got more. Okay, yeah. I was gonna say, like, he's stacking the wins up, so it's looking good on the win front, but it hasn't come without some fireworks. So. Yeah, Charlie Morton. I mean, it still kind of blows my mind. This guy's 41 years old. So,
you know what it reminds me of?
Who?
The old gambler, Kenny Rogers.
Yeah. Kenny Rogers. Yeah, that's a name for you if you're a Tigers fan. Or I think his prime years were in the Rangers.
Yeah, and he pitched briefly too for the Yankees just prior to coming over to Detroit too from the Rangers. So yeah.
So that's Charlie Morton. He's been just as far as, like you said, providing stability at the back end. He's done his job. He's a veteran guy. He's been around for some time, but I can't really complain, especially when you look at how, like you said, how he started the year. He was struggling pretty bad. So it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And thus far, he's been pretty good. Let's get to Rafael Montero. What are your thoughts on him?
It started a little shaky. Again, first couple outings for him were very roller coaster-ish, kind of another reminiscent name to another past pitcher, roller coaster Todd Jones, during his 2 stints with Detroit. But he's kind of settled in the last week or so, I feel like. Certainly without not totally clean outings, but he has, I feel like, kind of settled down, gotten acclimated, and it looks like he's buying into what Fetter and the rest of the guys are trying to do in terms of piecing that bullpen together. It's pretty well known now. No one really has a set role in that bullpen. You're probably going to be pitching almost every other day. You just don't know when. So kind of keeps everyone on their toes. But he's gotten better as of late. Would I say he's going to be totally reliable come playoff time? Who knows? But again, he's another veteran guy. I'd say about a B-.
Yeah. I think he's been a mixed bag. As you can see, he's had 2 consecutive clean appearances. But when he gets touched up, he definitely gets rocked. I think his shining moment was that I think he went 2 innings in an extra inning battle against Minnesota, where he was able to close out a game. But yeah, B- is, I think no lower than a C+, but he has shown the potential to be a serviceable, high leverage guy. I think that he falls, short of the trust I would give Will Vest. Although, I think Will Vest. Well, no, I think in Will Vest's last start, he was clean, but the one before that, I think he gave up some 2-run home run or 2 earned runs on Friday, but we had some cushion there. So yeah, all around, Montero's been all right. I think he's probably our 4th highest leverage guy, depending on, lefty righty splits with Tyler Holton, but not too bad. C plus B minus for myself. The next one is Paddock from the formerly on the Twins. How do you feel about him so far?
I know we've joked about it off the air, and it's just don't ever start him against Minnesota ever again. For love of God.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Like the first game, okay, they couldn't do much about that. It was literally the first start we got him was against Minnesota. There was really nothing we could do. But the second time around was a Sunday, and I'm in the back of my head, I'm thinking, just push him out to Monday. Fuck it, make Sunday a bullpen game. I don't want to give away a game in the division. No, but I would say he's been. Average might be stretching a little bit. I give him a C overall. I'm not impressed, but overall, he hasn't really been horrendous outside of the Minnesota game. So I think he could be potential like long inning maybe, but right now, he's just eating some innings for us and trying not to avoid an implosion outing here and there. So I'd say a C minus for Paddock.
Yeah. You eliminate those 2 games against Minnesota and he's like an ace, but no. As you can see, he's ran into his old team twice, and they obviously have his number. He's got 4 earned runs in the first outing and 8 earned runs where they just kind of kept him out there like, hey, we need you to get through this. I think that was that Sunday that he
yeah.
Okay, yeah, that was last Sunday. But as you can see, he bounced back yesterday. He went 5 innings and gave up 5 hits and only 1 earned run in a game that I don't know if he got credit for the win or not, but he did a serviceable enough job to keep us in it. And yeah, I mean, he's a guy that I could see it go either way as far as him being on the major, on the playoff roster, depending on once Cobb gets back into the fold and Sewald and some of those other guys. But he's done good enough to where he's, kept us in it. He hasn't just completely fallen off the wagon. He just can't get out his old team. I mean, it was crazy as half those guys probably weren't with him throughout the year because they're so young and half of them were probably in AAA at the time. But yeah, the Twins are always tough to play against. So if anybody knows that, he does. And the grand finale, this one is kind of a resounding, should be a resounding consensus all around. But Mr. Cal Finnegan.
Yep. Hey, I mean, he's we hit the nail on the head when we were talking about that night when it went live. We were looking at his Savant, some of his other stuff, and we said he had the potential to be a pretty reliable, high leverage guy, all things considered. And I might be leading into it if you had it ready to go, but they had done these splits on his pitch usage since coming to Detroit, and his splitter is up almost as much as his fastball. And lo and behold, he just catapults into this, elite level of looking type performances. So it's been nice because we needed it with Vesp all of a sudden kind of getting touched up right around the deadline. Now all of a sudden you're like, well, because Canely was blowing up at that time, who I don't know if anyone's noticed. I don't think he's pitched since last week. And frankly, it's kind of the way it needs to be. He tried pitching in a blowout game, didn't help. So, yeah, it's flying colors. There's nothing else to say about it. This guy's been a stud. And I don't know, does he have team control still, or is he just a rental?
Yeah, he's a rental, but I pay that man whatever he wants to play. Obviously, he's still at whatever he wants because he's obviously still got a ton in the tank. He's by far our best high leverage pitcher. Zeros all around. It looks like he's got at least 4 saves. Because it starts over after this Astros thing. So yeah, I think he's got 4 saves. He's got 2 walks in that time period. But and he's not, and he hasn't just closed out games. I've seen him anywhere from the 7th on to the 9th inning. So pretty much whenever we need to put our best foot forward. They're going and getting Finnegan, and yeah, he's getting timely ground balls as well. Like you said, the splitter usage has risen, and it's been effective. So yeah, he's done everything that we've needed him to do, and down the stretch in those playoff games, I think he's going to be very very useful. So all in all, it looks like everybody that we've graded has gotten close to at least a low B. So I don't know. I think our bullpen rankings over the last month were like in the top 5. So despite not going out and getting some, the big names like the Bednars and the Durans, we've been pretty solid pitching wise, and the bats have come up in timely situations. So yeah, let's get to the last break, and then we're going to talk the upcoming schedule. All right, who do we have coming up?
All right, yeah. So they will leave the friendly confines of America Park and go on their last, if you want to call it, West Coast trip as they head out to California on Monday for a 3-game series to close out their season with the Athletics for 3 games there. And then the weekend series will be in Kansas City. So, again, we're still rotating in divisional games pretty heavily here down the stretch. So Monday will be Skubal against Gin. Tuesday will be Charlie Morton against, looks like a bullpen day. Wednesday's matinee will be Casey Mines against Morales. Friday in KC, it'll be Paddock against Michael Waka. Saturday night will be Flaherty against Seth Lugo. And Sunday will be Skubal against Cameron, with a mini sneak peek as we enter Labor Day weekend in the first week of September. They return home for 2 series with the Mets and then the White Sox.
All right, so pretty favorable schedule. You said the A's. Who else do we have?
A's, KC, then the Mets and the White Sox.
Mets and the White Sox. Okay. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
What were you gonna say?
No, you're good. You're good. Go ahead.
Yeah, but yeah, when we look at the strength of schedule down the stretch, I think we have one of the weaker schedules. So if we can continue to keep pace, hopefully we can get the sweep today of Kansas City and just put them out of their misery. But yeah, I think the only team in the entire major leagues that has a better record than us right now is Milwaukee, who saw their streak get cut down finally. So they seem to be coming back to reality a little bit. But yeah, the team's getting hot at the opportune time. Andy Ibanez, he's one of the guys that when we throw out that left-handed pitcher lineup, he's one of the guys that has been a key to just igniting the offense, because it doesn't look real sexy on paper, but a guy like him, he turns into looks like one of the better hitters on the team against those lefties. His splits have gone up. I think he's hitting like 286 against lefties, which he had kind of fallen off for a second, but he seems to be back. Back in form that he was going into the playoffs last year. And yeah, it's going to be interesting down the stretch. I think he's pretty much solidified his spot back on the team. And we'll just have to see once, Meadows and Vierling get healthy. We're going to have to see what AJ does as far as that's concerned, because we haven't even gotten into who's going to be who's going to be that extra roster call up. Do you have any insight on who you think that might be?
Well, there was a little blurb under the team's page on ESPN reported by a beat writer, I think that covers the Mud Hens, but it sounded like Detroit is considering strongly when the roster goes to that +1, that'll actually be previous debutee Dylan Smith to be called up as the extra guy.
So has he been pitching down there? I really don't pay attention to the bullpen arms too much, but is he still recovering, or has he been active?
I gotta imagine that if they're announcing that he's got to be pitching by now, because the call-up's going to be happening here in about a week or so, right?
It's almost September, yeah.
So if he wasn't healthy, I don't think they would be necessarily looking at him as the first guy in that order to be called up for the extra spot. Because we still have, I think Justin Hunter Malloy he had a monster home run. I don't know if it was earlier in the week, but it was an absolute shot. His power had been coming back. I had seen a little bit, but no, last 7 games. Let's see here.
Oh, I'm looking at it. It looks like the last 7 games, he's got a 1.38 ERA.
Yeah, but you look at his last 3 games. Oh, that's the parent club. Yeah, I got to imagine that. So, yeah, he just went down 2 days ago to Lakeland for rehab. So he's rehabbing right now. So it sounds like he's on track to be selected when he's ready. So it might not be too far into that start of the window. But, yeah, if my guess, they're just trying to get him up, get him kind of hot, if you will. So that way he's ready to go when they make the call up. But barring a setback, he should be it.
Okay. Who's your call as far as a bat that gets called up?
Well, I mean, I think you're going to end up getting a bat based on return from injury, not necessarily a call up, and that's going to be Parker at some point. So you get Parker back. Again, we said it last week, and I'm kind of sticking to it. Although it looks sexy, it sounds sexy. Yeah, McGonigal, get McGonigal up here. Yeah, well, there's only so much shuffling with the 40-man you can do, and they're already starting to let go of guys at Toledo that have been there for more than a few years. So they're kind of limited right now. But unless there's an injury to Sweeney or Baez, McGonigal's not making his debut this year, and it doesn't make any sense for him to be the primary +1 for September. He'd barely get much playing time as is.
Yeah, I think the door is shut on that. I think that people should be comfortable and rest assured that he will 100% get every opportunity to make the squad coming out of next year. And but I mean, the future is bright. Not to jump too far ahead and just forget about the fact that we have a whole playoff run. But the one thing that I've always said that he would probably be a second baseman in the future, but I don't know. I sent you that play that he made in the hole at shortstop, and maybe he can be a everyday shortstop moving forward. He just continues to excel and impress and improve. That he's a top prospect all around. He's started to hit for power. We knew that he was a contact guy, but now he's starting to just annihilate pitches. I can't remember who he said. The announcer said that he hit one of the furthest balls in Erie that he's ever seen. I can't remember who it was that he was comparing the distance to, but yeah, more than likely, if anything, it's probably a Malloy, probably not a Jace Young. But I don't know, the way Eduardo Valencia has been hitting, I can't just discount the fact that it couldn't be him. I mean, guys that are that hot, you got to wonder, like, is it, could it possibly translate to the major league level? But at this point, I think we're pretty set on who we have. Wenceel Perez has played, some really good center field. He was part of the reason why we were able to hold, Houston scoreless for that, that length of time. What do we have? We had that relay throw that was replayed 100 times on Tuesday, involving who was in the corner outfield. I'm not sure who was out there, but it was a relay throw from the outfield to Gleyber Torres and a tag made by Dylan Dingler as well. So yeah, I don't think we can lose either way as far as that call up from the minor leagues. Our big leaguers right now look pretty strong and ready for a run down the stretch. Let's see. MSU Detroit fan, yeah, Parker Meadows and Matt Vierling, basically. Yeah, that's pretty much what it's going to be. Injury to Baez or Sweeney along with McKinstry and Ryan Kryler for McGonigal. Yeah, Kryler's gone unless he'll probably clear waivers and accept an assignment if that's on the table. I think that's what will happen. And that's if they don't consider Eddie Leonard. No, Eddie Leonard's gone. I think Eddie Leonard is with the Braves, if I'm not mistaken. Where's Eddie Leonard? He was a popular name for a while, but he kind of fell off. Let's see where he's at. Yeah, AAA Braves. Having a good year, too. Wow. 18 home runs, 54 RBIs. Not a great average, 226. Still only 24 years old. Originally out of the Dodgers system. So he's a 4A player. I don't think he ever made the team. I don't think he ever saw any playing time in Detroit. But he didn't have a good spring training.
That'll do it.
Let's see. He said Cole Keefe seems to be our answer at third base. Yeah, he's looked pretty good all around. I think he had a home run in that blowout game as well. So, he's pretty much been the everyday third baseman. Maybe because Javi's played a lot of center. Yeah. Team's just all around solid. I just hope that we don't go through any more of those offensive droughts because we had the 10 runs on Monday. Then we went against Hunter Brown the next day in a pitcher's duel with Skubal, and we only managed one run on a walk-off where we loaded the bases and didn't get a single hit to win that game. We needed a walk from Gleyber Torres. So we get it done on all fronts, but yeah, we go through those droughts. So anything you look, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Speaking of that walk-off walk, when that was Tuesday night, right? That was a great matchup with Hunter Brown and Tarek Skubal. Yeah. That was an incredible ace for taste. And of course, for those who don't know, Hunter Brown is a local kid. Yes. From Grove Point, so that was cool to see. But I believe you also had a run-in with a familiar face Tuesday night too, didn't you?
Wait. Oh, yes. Our boy was a fan of the show, Marcioni. Random. First of all, I had to go far and wide to find the chicken tenders. It's so far away from the section we normally sit at, but. And by the way, that line is insane. The only saving grace was that the game was delayed because of rain. But yeah, he didn't even see me. I think I scared him a little bit. And his wife spotted me first. Probably his wife and his two sons spotted me first. But yeah, it was an interesting run-in while I waited in line for 45 minutes for some chicken tenders. Excellent chicken tenders and it was worth it. George,
at that point, give a man a beer with it too for 45 minutes. Damn.
Yeah. Hold on, we got some comments from Oh, this is George. I know George.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought it was your ump friend. What was his name?
Oh, yeah, I know you're talking about. No, that's been a while. It's been probably more than a few weeks.
Yeah, he said bring back Miggy for the late season run. Heard he's been laying off the wow. Laying off the kid and the nannies. Wow, I don't even know what the nannies are.
He had a
Sugary.
mistress, remember? That's kind of what we're referring to. Back when he fell asleep in Lakeland at the light, unconscious and intoxicated.
Yeah, that's He said I hate playing Oakland. Yeah, Oakland. Yeah, I think Oakland won the series in Detroit, didn't they?
Yeah, way back in like April or something like that. But yeah, I don't care. They're playing in Sacramento. It'll still be until they're in Vegas. I'm just gonna keep calling them Oakland. I don't care.
Yeah,
But
Sacramento,
that team they play in is it's terrible. It's just been a horrible experience for a lot of the fans out there.
Yeah, I think we have 2 major league teams playing in minor league ballparks right now.
Yeah, Tampa and the A's. Yeah.
All right, so just as far as players are concerned, what are you looking forward to over the next week?
I think it was a good touch on the role players having some immediate resurgence in spots where they were needed. You know, Andy Ibanez, like you said, it was really struggling when he was demoted earlier in the year. At best, he was hitting like 220 against lefties. So now he's back up to almost 290 now in his recent week to 10 day stretch here. Jahmai Jones has had some good pinch hit production spots here, which were needed as well. So, like you said, those guys are going to be needed to be relied upon to contribute to the continued winning as they had been since last year, given the amount of opportunities they continue to receive. So that's good to see. Bullpen has settled down, like you said. I still would like to see a little bit more consistency out of Flaherty and Mize. I think that'll be, if we can get 3 starters that are playing respectively well heading in the playoffs, I think you can mix and match everything else with all the other arms you got. So, and I think to kind of top it off, man, did you see that Saturday last night, that 15 pitch at bat with Dylan Dingler? That was one of the best at bats in terms of tracking, trusting your eyes. And I don't think the pitches that he offered or did not offer at were all true until that last BS strike 3 call, which was a ball by a mile. He was right on every single pitch. He swung at the true strikes and he passed on the true balls. Sure didn't outcome that way for us in terms of what we wanted, but God, that guy continues to impress me with the bat.
Yeah, that's another guy that should be getting a sizable raise going into next year. And yeah, he's been good all year. He hasn't really had that any rough patches really. He's hit for good average. He's in high leverage situations. He's probably our best hitter, well over 300 with runners in scoring position. But yeah, if anybody knows the strike zone, it's your catchers. And unfortunately, he came up on the short end of that one. But yeah, he's had an excellent year. As far as myself, Troy Melton has been really good. I feel like he's been getting some spot starts here and there, but for the most part, he's been the first guy out of the bullpen and has pitched very well. It's very encouraging to see, especially with it makes you excited for the future. Obviously, we're going to get Jackson Jobe back, hopefully, no time this year, obviously, but soon. But there's a possibility that him and Troy Melton could be 2 younger pitchers that we have in the future down the stretch. I'm looking for Riley Green, who he hit the 30 home run plateau. He's going to get well over 100 RBIs. He's at 94 right now. Still not hitting for a very high average, but he did walk 6 times this week, which is encouraging. He's obviously had the strikeout bug real bad, but to see him, I was surprised to see those 6 walks. So It just goes to show that maybe, he might be seeing the ball a little bit better. He had the big home run on Friday, the 2-run home run to kind of ignite us and push us in the right direction. So hopefully, once we hit the West Coast, he can kind of fully shake off that, slump that he's been in. But he's still been a good run producer. Had 4 RBIs this week. So yeah, he's one of the guys that I hope that can kind of get back going. Gleyber Torres was struggling as well, and he obviously had some big at bats this week. He had the walk-off walk, and we're going to need him as well down the stretch to be a veteran presence as we make that push. But other than that, let's continue to win these series. Let's sweep Kansas City. I think that will firmly shut the door on any more threats to the division. And let's try to put some pressure on Milwaukee to be the best team in the major leagues. I mean, that's, all things considered, that's kind of crazy to think that that's a position that we're in right now. But I think that we're out of that phase of really believing that we are as good as we are. We're a top team in the major leagues. I think that we have 5 more wins than the Dodgers right now. A team that swept us to start the year. So yeah, let's firmly assert ourselves as the top team in baseball. Any closing words as we get up out of here?
Not really. I mean, it's kind of figuring out the rest of the roster down the stretch. I mean, this is kind of now like your window for guys that were acquired, might be on the fringe, even positional players that might be just on the outside looking in based on just numbers alone. This is kind of a audition for some of these guys that are looking to get on at least a first round playoff roster spot. So, guys are going to be, they're not just going to be loose and like, hey, we're back up 11.5 games in division, life is good, so these guys want to play in the playoffs. No one wants to watch from the sideline or AAA or from home on the couch, So I think there's extra incentive for some of these guys to get on. Obviously, monetary too, bonus time for these guys that are not making a bag. Colt Keith, to a degree, is probably the only one making a decent amount of money that's not on a 1 or 2 year deal currently. So yeah, big benefit for those guys. So they're having fun. These guys have not shown, and I said it, I'm going to put myself out there right now. When they are on their losing streak and their really bad stretch, they didn't really show much cause for concern. They didn't wear it on their sleeve too much. And I think that I called that out as concerning to myself, because I wasn't saying hit the panic button and go full DEFCON 5, but show some emotion, like something that, like, okay, we get it. You understand, you're processing it. You're not just pushing off the side, but these guys are seemingly kind of unflappable, and it's a little it's cool to see, and you just hope that these guys continue rolling. Let's drop the hammer.
Yeah, these guys are vets. They even the Riley Green. He's been a been in the league for 3 years now. Torkelson, he's been around. These are guys that were quote unquote rushed to the major leagues, but they didn't allow that to to break them. It's ultimately molded them, and now they're experienced players that can kind of show the ropes to some of these younger guys coming up. And then you got some other guys that are true veterans, like your Torreses and Baez, of course. So we got guys that have played in World Series, have won World Series. So good mix of players, and yeah, this team is for real. They've gone through the adversity. They've defied the odds, and and now they should be ready for a nice push. But subscribe to the channel to check us out. This is the visual Bleachers to Speakers, just the visual side of things, the raw and uncut version of the show. And also subscribe to Corner to Copa on all audio aggregators as well. We'll be back next Sunday to recap the West Coast swing, and let's get up out of here.
Get your lick back. If a nugget do something, ain't no chit chat. Better stay up out